president's been very clear, as we've stated, that I think there's enough there that we want the House and Senate Intelligence to use the resources they do to make sure that they look into this matter. I mean, there's some, anyway, I do not want to get ahead of where they may go with this or what they may look at, but I'm going to leave it to them. If we start down the rabbit hole of discussing some of this stuff, I think that we end up in a very difficult place.
That was White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer earlier today talking about President Trump's wiretapping claims. Joining us now from the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow is back with us. Former intelligence official at the National Security Agent Bill Binney is with us. Jay, let me go back to my monologue. I thought Mark did a really good job of breaking down the media report of this. This is the liberal media. But let's get back to deep state, shadow government, and the fact that you have all these Obama holdovers. You have 500 people that need to be confirmed. The majority, only last week did we get Carson and Rick Perry. And all these people, all these lifetime bureaucrats. And now all these intelligence leaks, all of them are a felony, are they not?
They are a felony. And you've got basically unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats deep within the government. We called it, and you correctly said it, as shadow government. And these bureaucrats are not in lockstep at all with this administration. In fact, they're counter to it. So in their view, they're saving the country because they're going to oppose the president. So then you have the leaks. And I think the most telling aspect of this, Sean, something you and I have talked about several times, and that is 17 days before President Obama leaves office. 17 days before he leaves office. He'd been in office almost eight full years. He changes the way in which signal intel is distributed. Used to just go, since the Reagan era, used to just go to the NSA. They would decide where the raw data would go. And he changes it with 17 days left so that 17 additional agencies get it, which, of course, makes it much more difficult to determine who is engaged in the leaks. But what's getting lost in this entire discussion, and that's what I think we have to focus on, is that this information is being leaked.
It's being leaked, and
it's
leaked selectively, and like in the case of General Flynn, things that should never have been leaked and never have been. This is unprecedented. Bill Binney, didn't you help write this 78 FISA law?
No, I didn't. I didn't have anything to do with that law, Bill. I was fairly familiar with it when I was in NSA.
Okay,
though.
and you served for 32 years. I'm sorry I misspoke. I thought I read that earlier today. So, but for 32 years, and then you retired. Why?
I retired in October 2001 because they started spying on everybody in the United States, all the U.S. citizens. That was the bulk data collection of metadata. That was what the Second Circuit Court of Appeals ruled illegal.
In other words,
just in 2015.
It's your belief that every American citizen, that all of this data, all of our cell phone calls, all of our text messages, and all of our emails, it is your belief, and one of the reasons you retired, because you could not live with this any longer, is that every American, that all of this is being saved and stored?
That's correct. And that's also what I put in a sworn affidavit for the Jewell versus NSA lawsuit, challenging the constitutionality of this collection.
Well, I mean, I find this pretty, you know, here you are, a highly placed NSA official, then become a whistleblower. From what I understood, you were the architect of the NSA surveillance program in some ways, so maybe I misspoke in exactly what I was saying. But so you're saying that even today, that would mean, by the way, that James Clapper committed perjury because he said it wasn't happening. Did he commit perjury in your view?
He was talking about a FISA court order. This is all this collection is being done under Executive Order 12333. No, well, Section 23C.
Yeah, but he also said the Director Clapper actually testified that there was not bulk data collections, and then had to correct his testimony when the WikiLeaks information came out. So this is not exactly the most credible source.
Jay, what laws do you believe are broken?
No, that's true.
What laws do you believe are broken here?
Well, I mean, I think, look, anytime you're sharing national security information or classified information, you're talking about, you know, espionage. I mean, this is the stuff that
this is the Espionage Act we're
except
talking about.
They're felonies.
In other words, what they released on General Flynn was a violation of the Espionage Act.
Correct, a violation of the Espionage Act. And every time they did it, by the way, it was a violation. It's not just one time. So you're talking about multiple felonies. You're talking about what needs to be taking place right now. And I have complete confidence in Attorney General Sessions. and that is an investigation not done the way Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch did it, by actually impaneling a grand jury, getting subpoena power, find out who leaked the information, prosecute them to the full extent of the law.
And you believe, as
if
I
they're
do,
found guilty, they pay the penalty.
when they expanded Executive Order 12333 in the final 2 weeks of Obama's administration, that was done to make it more difficult to identify those people who they knew would be leaking?
Sure.
What other reason would they do it?
Well, that's the only reason, because what it did was it took a very small pool of people and increased it 17-fold. So it makes it much more difficult.
Yep.
But it doesn't make it
That's
impossible. And to prevent a constitutional showdown, to prevent a constitutional crisis, the Attorney General knows what he needs to do.
So you believe there's
the
the shadow government. So if Donald Trump is wrong,
what you have here is the leaking of classified information. It's a felony.
So if Donald Trump, real quick, is wrong, that would mean that the New York Times was wrong. That would mean that McClatchy was wrong. That would mean that
on the president to release information, Sean, are making if there's an ongoing investigation, the president shouldn't be giving information out. That, I think, would be inappropriate. I think turning over to Congress, the president.
And the statement of the president this weekend, the former president, was meaningless when he said he didn't direct it. All right, Bill Binney, let me go back to you. What Executive Order 12333? It was revised in the final 2 weeks of the Obama presidency, as you know. But you believe it is that executive order, EO 12333. You believe it is that executive order that allows our government to literally wiretap and metadata store every phone call of every citizen, every text, every email? That's your belief? That's happening?
It's actually Section 2.3c that actually says if you have the intent to find a drug dealer, for example, in a 64 fiber line or a 10 gigabit line, if you believe there's a drug dealer in there, you can go in and collect all the data on the line, store it, mine it, and do whatever you want to with it, and preserve it, even though the vast, say 99.999% of it is domestic communications.
Unbelievable. All right.
I mean, this is nothing new. This has been going on for a long time. I mean, even...
so every phone conversation I have in my life, do you believe has been taped?
Without warrants, yes, that's right. And also, Adrian Kinney and David Murphy-Falk were transcribers down at Fort Gordon, Georgia. Their testimonies on the web, where they were transcribing phone calls between U.S. citizens and NGOs with no warrant whatsoever. And this has been going on, for years.
We better get to the bottom of this. All right. Thank you all for being with us. Appreciate it. We got a long way to go here. And by the way, you won't hear this on the major networks. I can't wait for the New York Times to apologize or to confirm their original reports.